Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Andrew, and I am the Gearhead Drummer. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button, make sure to hit that notification bell so you know when all my newest content comes out. Guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to tune a bass drum. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure to check out my how to tune a snare drum video, and make sure to check out my how to tune a tom drum video. Guys, to start, you want to make sure you're comfortable. Just be comfortable. You can't sit down and tune a bass drum. The bass drum is a little bit too big. I guess you could put the bass drum on the floor and tune it. I don't really want to put a bass drum on the floor, so I put it on a table and I put like a cloth or like a blanket I really don't care all that much about on the table. You're also going to need a drum key, and instead of using a drumstick, you're going to want to use a kind of bass drum mallet. So to start, you want to make sure all of your legs and such are put in. I already did that. Just it's easier to maneuver around the drum, and it's less of a hassle if they're in. Start, put the drum on its resonant side. If you're using an EMAD like I am, or using any type of drum with any kind of foam on the outside, you don't have to, but I prefer to just remove all that stuff out of the way. You don't really need the mallet just yet, so I'm going to put it off to the side. Start, pick any lug, turn it a quarter, and you're going to go through a tuning pattern to loosen it. So like I said, pick any, turn it a quarter. I already turned this one. Then go across. I like to go counterclockwise by one. You can do a different pattern. There's a star pattern. There's all different kinds of patterns. This is the pattern I prefer. Turn it a quarter, go across again. Turn it a quarter, shift one over. Turn it a quarter, go across. Turn it a quarter, shift one over, turn it a quarter, go across, turn it a quarter, shift one over, and then keep going through this whole pattern until the drum is fairly loose. Do a quarter and not a half a turn, especially not a whole turn, so you don't damage your drum. You really don't care about the drum head anymore because you're most likely replacing it. Once you've loosened all the lugs, take them off with your fingers. Some bass drums are different. Mine, the rim doesn't have the lugs go inside the rim. It actually has these little hoops, I want to say, whatever, or clamps, clips. I don't really know what these are called, I'm not going to lie. They go around the hoop. So you can just take those, set them in the center of the bass drum as you're taking them off. Just somewhere easy to place them. Then, once you've got all the lugs off, just put your rim off to the side. Now guys, there's a myth that apparently you should put your rim at the same spot on the drum every time. It apparently protects the head better and protects the drum better and protects the rim better from, if the drum starts to get misshapen a little bit, the rim will correct with it. I don't follow that. If you choose to, you can do that. Go ahead. It's your own preference, but I personally don't do that. So, now that you've got all the lugs, you've got all the drum off, take them off to the side. Make sure when you're taking these off, like what just happened right there, where I lost the lug, make sure that you have all your washers. I know for a fact that this drum the lug has one washer, and then this, whatever this is called, don't lose any of your washers. Some have two, some have three, some have them in different spots. Just don't lose them. Take your drum head off. If you don't, you should start doing this. Keep this stuff in your drum. Evans produces EQ RGS. I think they're called EQ rings. Honestly, I don't really know what these are called. They say EQ RGS on them. I also have a pillow. I'll explain that when it comes to actually tuning. So if you don't do this already, you really should start doing this. But you should probably take this stuff out right now. Flip the drum over. And do the same process all over again. Now, I am going to say this. For bass drums and snare drums, you do need to put the same rim on the same side. The reason is because you do have a batter side rim and a resonant side rim on your snare and your bass drum. So in this case, The way I know this is my bass drum, my hoop for the resonant side doesn't have anything on the inside of it. My batter side has this kind of grippy thing. It's meant for the bass drum, and so this always goes on the bottom for the bass drum pedal, so that it clamps onto this instead of clamping onto, well, just regular wood, so it doesn't destroy it and damage it as much. I don't really see much of a difference, honestly. It's still damaging it pretty badly. You can set your lugs off to the side. I am going to be keeping this drum head. I do not have another resonant bass drum head, nor do I want one because this one is sweet. Okay guys, once you have the bass drum head off, what you want to do is you want to take a microfiber cloth and you want to just kind of rub the bearing edge just to make sure that you don't get any debris or dirt in between the drum head and the wood, because that won't sound as good and it will damage the drum a lot faster, and it won't keep the longevity of the drum head as long either. You're going to start with your resonant side drum head, not your batter side. And the reason is because your resonant side is, well, what it sounds like. It's your resonance, it's your actual tone of the bass drum. So, I am super OCD about lining up my drum heads properly. So I can do it two different ways for this drum head. I can either look at the lug casings on this side and line up the Evans logo, or I can line up the Gearhead Drummer logo with this little thing up top, or in between the lug casings. So I've actually got three different ways. You're going to take your resonant side hoop, not your batter side. The way you should know if it's your batter side or not, most drum companies will install something to protect your batter side hoop from your bass drum pedal. So this is my batter side hoop. Now the way to know what way to put your hoop on is there's a rounded edge and then there's a flat edge. I'm going to put the rounded edge on the outside. Since this is just, a generic hoop, it can go anywhere. Now I have 8 lugs on my bass drum, so I'm going to count 8 of my lugs that I dropped on the floor earlier. Then you can just leave them on top of your bass drum. You're going to take these lugs, and you're going to finger tighten all of them. You want to make sure that when you finger tighten them though, you never want to go one right next to each other. You want to do a cross. The reason for this is it increases the longevity of your bass drum head because you're evenly tensioning the drum. If you tighten one all the way down, you might not even be able to get the next one on. Right now I'm just catching them and then I'm going to finger tighten them. Now that I've got them all finger tight, I want to take my drum key and my bass mallet. I want to start with the drum key. I want to pick any lug, turn it a quarter, go across, turn it a quarter, go right next to it, turn it a quarter, and same process all the way across until I've tensioned the bass drum to the point where I would like to start tuning it. Now, when it comes to drums, tuning is all based on preference. Drums are not like a guitar or any instrument at all. You can tune however you'd like because drums don't have a specific pitch, they're not trying to match other drums. Guitar, you have a specific tone. Piano, you have a specific tone. Trumpet, trombone, you have a specific tone, you have a specific note you're trying to hit. Drums don't have that. Drums are 100% up to preference. So now that I've tightened all the lugs to a point where I'd like to start tuning, the way that I do it is I push in the center, and I see that there's some wrinkles here. So I start by removing the wrinkles. You can push pretty hard into the center of the bass drum and get rid of those wrinkles. Now that you've tensioned the head quite a bit, you don't have to worry about going across to not ruin the bass drum head. Alright, now that I've removed all the wrinkles, you're going to take your bass drum mallet and you're going to listen. So obviously this one's a lot lower than that one. So I'm going to tighten this one. than these ones. This one's a lot lower than this one. Is it pretty even? Now a trick with this hole. Obviously you can't hit here. And if you hit here it sounds completely different than hitting here. So what you want to do is, it's a weird trick, but you want to go directly across it and slightly outside of it. And listen for that tone. They're about the same actually. This one's a lot lower. It's pretty even. And it sounds kind of punchy. I like punchy. So I'm going to leave it like this. This lug right here is actually kind of high. So to lower lugs, you never, ever, ever want to just down tune a lug. You always want to down tune it, or you over down tune it, and then you tighten it back up. So that sounds pretty good, and these lugs are all pretty even. So I'm going to leave it at that. I might tune it up a little bit more later. Now, you want to switch to the batter side. That weird pad and pillow that I had earlier, well, you're just going to throw them in right now. Well, you can set them up right now if you'd like, but I'll show you why I'm throwing them in. Plus, I've got that porthole, so I can still adjust them while they're inside the bass drum. You want to take your brand new bass drum head. Since I'm using an EMAD 2, it comes with these foam rings. They're great, and I love using them. That's why I bought the EMAD. But you don't want to tune with them. So you want to take those out. They also come with contact patches. I'm super duper OCD about where my drum heads go. So, logo's on top for the EMAD 2. Now, you're going to take your bass drum hoop, and you're going to put that little protector thing on the bottom. You want to make sure to do that, well, for the bass drum pedal. I'm signaling over there because that's where my bass drum pedal happens to be sitting right now. Put all your lugs in the center of the bass drum head. Start putting them on. Now, tuning the bass drum is a lot different than the toms or the snare drum. And tuning your resonant side is a lot different than tuning your batter side. Tuning your batter side, usually you want the most punch you can possibly get out of it. So, you finger tighten the drum head. You want to do all across. You never want to tighten right next to each other so that the bass drum head can sit properly and even. Then, you push in the center, and you just want to remove the wrinkles. You go in the tuning pattern to remove the wrinkles. I like to turn a half a turn instead of a quarter turn to remove wrinkles on the bass drum head. You keep going until all the wrinkles are gone. And if there's a spot with no wrinkles in it, you don't tension that spot. Okay, now all the wrinkles are gone. You're going to take your bass drum mallet and make sure it's all evenly tuned. This one's higher than the rest of them. I actually kind of like the sound of this one that's higher. So I'm going to match them. These ones are a lot lower. See how punchy that is? Now, I'm going to flip the bass drum onto its side. The way I'm setting up the foam and everything right now is so that it's not touching either of the heads. I'm actually going to take this out because I can take it in and out easily. But that pillow, not so much. The pillow is currently not touching either of the bass drum heads. There's a lot of resonance involved. If I seat it against the resonant head, like so, it's more of a dead sound. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to put this against the batter side head and this against the resonant side head. That sounds way better. I personally like to use the bigger ring. I'm going to put the bigger ring in. I'm going to put the bigger ring in. Now if you don't use an EMAD 2, obviously you don't have a ring. But I like to have the punchiest, least resonant sound, and I have found that with the combination of the pillow, that EQ RGS, I think is what it was called, and this EMAD 2 with this bigger foam ring, I get exactly the sound that I would like. Let's flip it back over onto its side. And that's the tone that I love. It's a nice, deep, growly tone without a bunch of extra resonance. Now, if you so choose to put the contact patches on, to do such a process, what you want to do is you want to put the bass drum and the pedal together. Line up the pedal properly, make sure it's as best adjusted as possible. Since this is a perfectly clean drum head that's never been played on, you shouldn't have to worry about cleaning it. So, we'll take one of the contact patches. If you buy a double bass contact patch, it's a lot easier. Guitar Center did not sell Evans dual contact patches for double pedals, so I'm just going to put one over the other. I prefer to put the resonant side underneath the batter side because the batter side is going to be played more. Some people prefer not to do it because it changes the sound quality a little bit. I actually prefer the sound quality of putting these patches on. So, you just remove the sticker off the back, you push down the pedal, find where it meets, push it down, and there you go. Place the contact patch, push the contact patch down. So guys, if you like this video on how to tune your bass drum, please make sure to like, comment, definitely hit that subscribe button. There is more drum content coming. And guys, make sure to hit that notification bell, and I will see you guys next time.